Thanks to music attorney Ed Fair's vision, there's a new crowd flocking to Commons Ford Ranch Metropolitan Park. He's learned a lot about restoring a prairie since he discovered the serene park in 2001 as a first-time birder.
There was this huge field that, to me, it looked kind of pretty. It was brown, all looked the same, kind of amber waves of grain like, blow in the wind. But there weren't a lot of birds in it, and it was the centerpiece of the park. Well, that sort of got me thinking about what is this and what's going on. So I asked. Brought another birder friend out, a gentleman by the name of Byron Stone, who is an excellent birder and he knows grasses. So I said, Byron, what's going on here? What is this? School is good? He goes, no, it's all bad. It's all invasive grasses. All of that stuff is King Ranch bluestem, Bermuda grass, and Johnson grass. And it is not conducive to birds at all. So if we get birds in there, they're just going to be passing through. And he said, wouldn't it be cool if that was like we changed it all and that was native grasses, and then it would be full of birds. And that sort of started the whole process. The first thing I did was start doing a lot of research about what are native grasses, why is it important, why does it even matter? And I kind of knew the bird connection, but what difference did it make? So I began to look at why it was important and if we wanted to change it, how we would do it.
Ed started by connecting to local, regional, and state conservationists and wildlife experts.
And then, of course, the first stop that really mattered was going to the city. This is city property. So I went to the park supervisor, Joan Singh.
With the green light from Austin Parks and Recreation, Ed enlisted energetic volunteers like Diane Sherrill.
He asked me if I would take over the fundraising committee, or actually he was just creating the fundraising committee.
For seed money, they held events, wrote grants, and partnered with private and business contributors. Now, the Commons Ford Prairie Restoration operates under the charitable umbrella of the Austin Parks Foundation.
And then we began to put together a seed source driven by two things. What would be the most appropriate native seeds for this tract, given what the soil content is? And on top of that, what would be the most appropriate for birds?
Before planting the 40-acre tract on former ranch land with 70 species of seeds, they tackled the invasives through tilling, plowing, and selective herbicide treatment.
You can't just throw a bunch of native seeds on top of it and hope they're going to grow through it.
In winter 2012, partner Native American Seed planted the first seeds in their no-till drill method. Quickly, the mix of grasses and flowers took hold to feed different species of birds and other wildlife all year long. Still, as any gardener with Bermuda grass well knows, invasives are tenacious. With more connections and knowledge behind them, the restoration team organized a supervised burn in August 2013.
What people don't understand is that the burn doesn't destroy anything. It's, plants are growing from seed and they're growing from roots and whatever else is curling along or just under the ground.
Just a few weeks after the burn, spring blooming plants emerged, clear of clutter. The battle isn't over yet.
When we first started this, all of this was Bermuda. Now we have quite a few of the natives going. This is Engelmann daisy, also known as cutleaf daisy. This one over here is Mexican hat. This little guy here is called silverleaf nightshade. We have this one, which is bush sunflower. That was, as you can tell, blooming recently. We have some of the nice native grasses out here. This one is called purple freon. And this one is side oats grama. Side oats grama is the state grass of Texas.
So, you can see where we did the herbicide treatment. We have Johnson grass in here, which is the least of our three invasive grasses. It's the least problematic. We're not terribly concerned about it. Also because sparrow species actually like Johnson grass seeds, so they will come to this. And then you can see just in the midst of this, we've got natives growing. We've got the mealy blue sage in this area.
Using surveys based on Texas Parks and Wildlife methodology, they've tracked bird species from day one. But before the restoration, one bird was all they noted.
So the first post-restoration survey, we had, I'm off by 1 or 2 birds, we had about 99 birds and about 11 or 12 different species.
Now counts in the prairie exceed 30 species and over 60 in the 200-acre park.
We also did plant surveys. The plant surveys indicated 90% of the plants in that 40-acre tract were invasive plant species. Now, sure, it's less than half. We're probably 70% native and 30% invasive. We are still fighting, we're still doing some treatments. We're going to do some replanting in 2014. So we want to continue to make this more and more of a long-term sustainable native prairie.
Volunteer counts keep growing too, since being part of such a significant restoration has many rewards.
Without volunteers, projects like this just couldn't even get off the ground. The community has to work along with the public entities to get things like this to happen.
A Boy Scout troop didn't wait long for results when they built birdhouses.
Interesting thing is, literally, while they were putting up one of the bluebird houses, a eastern bluebird, which is the species that we would get here, was watching them put up the house. And before they put up one house and went to the second and third, while they're working on the third house, a bluebird was on the first house. So that was kind of fun to watch.
Travis Audubon conducts monthly walks at Commons Ford, not only to identify birds, but to make connections between plants and animals in today's prairie that holds tomorrow's future.
One of the key reasons is that native prairies and tall grass prairies that once dominated the southern portion of the United States almost completely have also now almost completely disappeared. There's less than 1% left of those native prairies. So all of the species, not just bird species, but any species that depends on those for sustenance, food, nesting, they're in decline. So that's an important aspect right there. We need to preserve and protect and restore that for those kinds of species that depend on it.